Hi, I'm Krista. Welcome to the reading. Lately, it's felt like the energy has been turbulent. Almost like a wheel that's spinning so fast that you feel like you're going to get thrown off. The energy right now reminds me a lot of when I was a little kid and we had a merry-go-round at the local playground. It was like a round platform with bars that you would sit on and it would spin around in a circle. And normally, when you would sit on it, it was fine because it was going at a reasonable speed. But every once in a while, you'd be at the playground when this like local roughhousing group of boys would be there and they would spin the merry-go-round to like extreme speeds and all the little kids would go flying off of it. And that's kind of how I feel right now with everything that's going on. And I remember having to basically secure myself to the middle of the merry-go-round, like lock my legs around the bars and plant myself down so that I wouldn't go flying off of it. And I kind of feel like that is a good representation of the emotions right now of things spinning so fast and so out of control that it's easy to fly off, to get caught up in the things that we don't necessarily have control over. And I'm curious to know what your experience has been and how you're feeling right now, and to make this reading an open space of communication, because I feel that one of the things we really need right now are each other, and to like share what each other is going through to be able to connect and get through this together. And in thinking about that merry-go-round, eventually they took it out. They took it out of the playground, which as a child of the 80s, many of the things we had at the playground that were dangerous were eventually removed, like way past my childhood. But in thinking of that, I feel like Spirit's bringing that up because it's like they're saying, we see what's going on right now, we understand what's going on right now, but also know that it's happening because something better is coming. It's this feeling of needing to be awakened to the problem so that it can be fixed. But in the reading today, I wanted to ask the angels and the guides, where can we support ourselves during this time? How can we support ourselves in this time? Where can we go to look for support? And I'm feeling drawn to start out with this deck, Secret Garden. Transform. Rise above any situation and become the best version of you. And then these two cards flipped over on the top. Present. Journey into the garden to escape the two eternities, the past and the future. And play. Among the grass and wild violets lie undisturbed little secrets to uncover. And on the bottom of the deck is breathe. Slow down and contemplate the tea, violets, and ivy tangled around the eaves. And with the card transform coming out first, I feel that that is Spirit acknowledging this universal transformation that is happening, the rising of consciousness. Even though it may not seem that way, that it's ultimately working out in our favor, it's ultimately working out in our good. And the best way to handle this situation is to stay present. And I really feel that means to not worry about the past and not worry about the future, to know that things are being taken care of. And Spirit's drawing me back to that beginning analogy of being that little kid and kind of plopping myself down in the middle of that merry-go-round. And I feel like that's what they're saying for us to do, to ground ourselves, as if the earth itself is the spinning merry-go-round, and we can get through this by grounding our energy and being present. And then also to play, to, I'm hearing, cultivate the inner child. And I feel like sometimes that can feel counterproductive when things are so emotional and serious, to be like, well, I'm going to go connect to my inner child and play. But that's actually one of the best things that we can do, because connecting to that inner child is connecting to the light within. And the world right now needs light more than ever. And of course, they're saying to breathe, to take a moment, to slow down, do some breathing exercises, meditate. And I feel drawn to the word tangled in this card, as if to say, don't become tangled in this situation. An example of that, like for me personally, there was a couple days in this past week where I was, let's just say, obsessively watching the news and what was happening. And I quickly became very tangled in what was going on and the stories being told to me and like what I was consuming. And I guess I want to clarify by saying I'm not saying like don't get involved, don't pay attention to what's going on. Like don't act like a horse with blinders on kind of thing. Like if it's not there, it's not happening. But I'm reminded of that saying where attention goes, energy flows. And if I am sitting watching all these sensationalist stories made and written to make me feel a certain way, then of course I'm going to feel that way, and it's that energy is going to like amp up. It's going to make my nervous system hyper aware. And my foot is tingling right now, and I feel that is Spirit's way of saying that is the opposite of what needs to be done. It's better to stay in the moment and ground yourself because the situation doesn't need more chaos, it needs more peace. It needs more stillness. It needs more joy and love and things that are of higher vibrations. Because those are the things that are rising right now. Those are the things that are transforming. And for it to transform, we collectively need to be a part of that and giving energy to those things. I'm going to move these over. It's interesting. It's not the reading I had planned to do today, but it's the reading I felt I needed to do today. Now I'm going to pull from this angel deck and ask the angels for their support. Angels, what is your guidance in this matter? Message from Archangel Zadkiel. Call upon me, the Archangel of Memory, when you need to increase your mental abilities, remember facts, or release unhappy memories. My memory is perfect. I remember everything easily. And maybe that's the problem right now is we do remember everything easily and we're holding on to things. And this card to me, it's like the light is trying to come in. Like it's trying to come in. And this is the present. This is the light. The rising is trying to come in. And this is all of the past around us. And what's really calling to me in this card is this light here. And to me, that's almost like us grounding into the earth. And I feel like what's trying to happen is this light is trying to connect to us. And it's the idea of bridging heaven to earth. And Archangel Zadkiel is saying, remember that you are already a bridge to heaven. That you came in as a soul and you're already connected. And that's part of that. I remember everything easily. It's remembering where you came from. It's remembering your soul self, where you came from when you entered into this world. And remembering that you're already connected. And when you tune into that, and you tune into your soul knowing, you can see these turbulent situations from a different perspective, from a larger perspective, from the perspective where there's less worry and anger and fear, because you know where you came from, you know your creator, you know who is on your side. And these two came out. Message from Archangel Haniel. What's interesting is they're both from this angel. I'm not 100% familiar with this angel, so I'm going to have to look them up after this too. But it says, as the grace of God, I can help you connect to your ability to manifest magic through the divine feminine. And I am the Archangel of intuitive gifts. Allow me to mentor you in embracing your psychic awareness. I am connected to the power of the divine feminine. Harmony and magic fill my life. I completely trust my intuition. I follow my guidance with excitement and confidence. And what I feel is Archangel is trying to tell us is when we are in this moment, when we are present and connected to our joy, and we are in stillness, that we are connecting to our intuition, that there is a clear channeled connection, and that we can hear our angels we can hear ourselves, our higher self, and we can trust in that guidance. We can trust ourselves in knowing what to do and knowing that this is working out in our favor. That we are also not walking this path alone. And I feel the angels coming in to say, times like these, when things are turbulent, when things are stressful, as humans, we can sometimes feel like we've been abandoned. And I feel that is your angel's way of saying, like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, we are nearer. We are with you. We are always with you. Like, you are not doing any of this alone. There's a lot of cards to come out, but I think I'm going to take them all. Jesus, follow my lead. Prayer, contemplation, and connection. Judas, catalyst and soul contract, and sisterhood, the feminine way, which connects back to Archangel Haniel's message of the divine feminine. I am connected to the power of the divine feminine. That the way of the divine feminine is the way through this situation. And this card in particular immediately makes me think of those monks that are walking across the US right now for peace. That is another way the situation is going to be handled, through peace and connection. And I feel Jesus is here saying, follow my lead. How would Jesus have handled this situation? With love and kindness and compassion. And even though with the Judas card here, we feel betrayed by certain agencies or people, for these things to have happened feels like some type of prophecy that's being fulfilled. Just like how Judas played a role in Jesus' story, what's going on now is playing a role in our story for something better, for salvation, for a rising in consciousness. And although we may be going through what appears a dark night of the soul, like going through this darkness of humanity, we know how the story ends. And I can't help but notice the planes in this card, like rising above the situation. And this person is holding a lotus flower. And that makes me think of like the muck and the mud that the lotus flower is in and it blooms in. And I feel like that is where we are right now. We're in this mud getting ready to bloom, and that the world is being rebalanced into this feminine energy. But when I was talking about going through these tumultuous times, in my head I was thinking about the story of Jesus on the boat. He's on the boat with the fishermen and there's a storm and everyone on the boat is kind of freaking out. But Jesus is on the boat with them and they're like, Jesus, do something. And he's like, I'm here with you. Don't you trust me? And I feel like that is the energy of this reading. Jesus saying and the angels saying, we're here with you. Trust in the resolution of this. Trust that this is working out. And that the best we can do right now is to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, to follow in his lead. And that will be the thing that will elevate all of us. Well, I'm going to close the reading here. It was a really different reading today, but I felt it was just something that needed to come out. Again, I would love to know how you're doing, how you're feeling, what your experience has been through all that's been going on. Take care of yourself, and until I see you in the next reading, I'm wishing you a wonderful and blessed day. Bye.